I sat at the end of Mom's dining table, watching my sister Victoria sign the last page of the transfer documents with a flourish. Her diamond bracelet caught the afternoon light as she set down the pen, her expression radiating triumph mixed with pity. "There," Victoria said, sliding the papers across to me. "All done. Your little consulting business is now officially under my management. Don't worry, Emily. I'll take good care of it." Mom beamed at Victoria from across the table. "This is so generous of you, sweetheart. Taking responsibility for your sister's struggling business. Not everyone would be so kind." "Family helps family," Victoria said, though her tone suggested she was doing me an enormous favor rather than stealing my company. Emily clearly wasn't equipped to handle the complexities of running a business. Better to transfer control to someone who actually understands corporate management. My brother Derek nodded approvingly. "Makes sense. Emily's always been more of a creative type. Not really built for the business world. Victoria has the MBA, the experience, the connections. This is the right call." I took a sip of my coffee, saying nothing. "You're being very mature about this, Emily," Dad said, patting my hand. "I know it must be hard to admit you're in over your head. But accepting help is a sign of wisdom." "Wisdom," I repeated quietly. "Yes," Victoria said, gathering the signed documents into her leather portfolio. "And honestly, Emily, you should be relieved. Running a business is stressful. All those decisions, all that responsibility. Now you can just, I don't know, do whatever it is you do. Freelance consulting or something. Let me handle the actual business operations." "Your little home office setup is cute," Mom added. "Very quaint. But Victoria has a real office in the financial district. Proper infrastructure. That's what a growing business needs." "Growing business," I said. "Is that what you think it is?" Victoria laughed, that sharp sound I'd heard my entire life. "Emily, I've seen your financials. You're barely breaking even. A few small clients, modest revenue, no real growth trajectory. It's a hobby business at best. But with my management, my strategic vision, my network, we can actually make something of it." "Something of it," I echoed. "Don't be bitter," Derek said. "Victoria's trying to help. She's going to professionalize your operation, bring in real clients, implement proper systems. You should be grateful." "I am grateful," I said simply. Victoria's expression softened into something resembling compassion. "I know this is your baby, Emily. You've worked on it for, 3 years now? But sometimes we have to accept that our best isn't good enough. There's no shame in that." "No shame at all," Mom agreed. "Not everyone is cut out for entrepreneurship. You gave it a good try, sweetheart. Now let your sister's expertise take it to the next level." I checked my watch. 2:47 p.m. Perfect timing. "The transfer is complete?" I asked Victoria. "Completely," she confirmed, patting her portfolio. "I had my lawyer draw up the paperwork. Everything's legal and binding. As of today, I control all business operations, all assets, all client relationships, all intellectual property. You retain a 20% passive stake, which is generous considering the business's current state." "Very generous," I agreed. "I'll start reaching out to your client list tomorrow," Victoria continued. "Let them know there's been a change in management. Assure them that services will continue, probably improve actually, under new leadership." "The clients," I said. "Yes, you should definitely reach out to them." Victoria frowned slightly at my tone. "Emily, are you being sarcastic?" "Not at all. I think you should absolutely contact the clients. They'll be very interested to know about the management change." Derek leaned forward. "What's that supposed to mean?" Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. I glanced at the screen, right on schedule. "Excuse me, I need to take this." I stood and walked into Mom's living room, answering the call. "Emily Chen speaking." "Ms. Chen, this is Director Roberts from the SEC's Division of Enforcement. We're ready to proceed as discussed. Are you with the subject now?" "Yes, we just completed the transfer." "Excellent." And she signed all documents willingly, with full knowledge she was taking control of the business entity. Completely willingly. She insisted on it, actually. Believed she was doing me a favor. There was a pause, then what might have been a quiet laugh. "Ms. Chen, I've been investigating corporate fraud for 20 years. This is the first time I've seen someone voluntarily take ownership of a fraudulent enterprise while the actual criminal watches. This is going to be interesting. I thought you might find it educational, I said. We're 5 minutes out. Keep them there if possible. They're not going anywhere. I returned to the dining room, where my family was watching me with varying expressions of curiosity and concern. Who was that? Mom asked. Work, I said simply, retaking my seat. Victoria's eyes narrowed. What kind of work? You don't have a business anymore, remember? I just took it over. Right, I said. My mistake. Emily, what's going on? Dad asked. You're acting strange. Am I? Yes, Derek said firmly. You've been weirdly calm about this whole transfer. No arguments, no resistance, no emotional response. It's not like you. Maybe I'm just relieved, I suggested. Like Dad said, accepting help is wisdom. Victoria wasn't buying it. Something's wrong. Emily, what aren't you telling us? About the business? I asked. There's quite a bit I haven't told you. But you'll find out soon enough. Find out what? Mom demanded. Before I could answer, the doorbell rang. All eyes turned toward the front door. Are you expecting someone? Mom asked me. Yes, I said. That would be for Victoria. Victoria stood abruptly. For me? I'm not expecting anyone. You should probably answer the door, Mom, I said calmly. Mom walked to the door, confusion evident on her face. Through the archway, I could see her open it to reveal 4 people in dark suits, 3 men and 1 woman, all carrying badges and briefcases. Mrs. Chin, the woman said. I'm Director Sarah Roberts from the Securities and Exchange Commission. We're looking for Victoria Chin. The color drained from Victoria's face. The SEC? What? Why? Victoria Chin? Director Roberts entered the dining room, the other agents flanking her. I'm Director Roberts. These are Special Agents Williams, Park and Thompson. We need you to come with us to answer some questions regarding corporate fraud, securities violations and identity theft. Victoria's mouth opened and closed soundlessly. Derek jumped to his feet. What the hell is going on? Your sister has just taken legal ownership of a business entity currently under investigation by the SEC, Director Roberts said. By signing those transfer documents, she gestured to Victoria's portfolio. She assumed legal responsibility for multiple federal crimes. That's insane, Victoria said, finding her voice. Emily's business is just a small consulting firm. There's nothing illegal about it. It's not a consulting firm, I said quietly. Everyone turned to stare at me. What? Mom whispered. The business Victoria just took control of isn't a consulting firm, I repeated. It's a shell corporation I've been operating for the past 3 years to attract exactly this kind of fraudulent takeover. The silence that followed was absolute. Director Roberts smiled approvingly. Perhaps you should explain, Ms. Chin. I think your family deserves to understand what's happening. I stood, walking to the window. 3 years ago, Victoria tried to steal one of my actual clients. A significant one. She went behind my back, contacted them directly, claimed she was my business partner with authority to renegotiate our contract, then attempted to redirect all payments to an account she controlled. I did no such thing, Victoria protested. You did, I said calmly. The client reported it to me immediately. They found it suspicious that my business partner didn't know basic details about the work we'd been doing. I confronted you and you denied everything. Said the client was lying, that I was paranoid, that I couldn't handle competition. Mom shook her head. Victoria wouldn't. She did, I interrupted. And I realized then that if she'd try it once, she'd try it again. So I created a trap. A fake business designed specifically to look vulnerable and profitable enough to steal, but actually worthless and legally toxic. Derek's face had gone pale. You set up a fake company? A shell corporation, Director Roberts clarified. Perfectly legal to create. But Ms. Chin populated it with fabricated financial records showing impressive revenue from non-existent clients. She created a business that looked successful but was actually built entirely on fraud. But I didn't commit the fraud, I said. I just created the fraudulent entity. The crime occurs when someone takes control of it and attempts to use those false records for financial gain. Which is exactly what Victoria was planning to do. Victoria was shaking her head repeatedly. No. No, this is entrapment. You tricked me. Entrapment requires law enforcement to induce you to commit a crime you wouldn't otherwise commit, Director Roberts said. Your sister is a private citizen who created a legal trap. You took the bait entirely of your own volition. No one forced you to steal her business. I didn't steal it, Victoria insisted. She gave it to me. She signed the transfer papers. After you spent 3 months convincing our family I was incompetent and needed to hand over control, I said. After you told Mom and Dad my business was failing and I couldn't handle it. After you drafted legal documents transferring ownership to yourself and pressured me to sign them. That's not a gift, Victoria. That's coercion. I have recordings, I added, pulling out my phone. Every conversation where you pushed me to transfer the business. Every family gathering where you undermined my confidence. Every phone call where you explained how my business would be better off under your management. Would you like to hear them? Victoria's expression shifted from denial to panic. You recorded us? I recorded myself in conversations with you, I corrected. Perfectly legal in this state. Single-party consent. Agent Williams stepped forward. Miss Chin, Victoria Chin, we need you to accompany us to the regional office. You'll be questioned regarding your intentions with the transferred business entity, your knowledge of its financial records, and your planned use of those records in seeking loans or investment capital. Loans. Dad said weakly. That was the plan, wasn't it, Victoria? I asked. Take control of my successful business. Use its impressive financial records to secure a business loan, probably a substantial one. Use my company's fabricated revenue as collateral. That's bank fraud on top of securities fraud. Victoria's silence was answer enough. Mom sank into a chair. Victoria, tell me Emily's lying. Tell me you weren't planning to do this. Victoria's mouth opened but no words came out. We need to go, Director Roberts said firmly. Miss Chin, you can contact a lawyer from our office. You have the right to remain silent, though this is currently investigatory questioning, not an arrest. However, given the evidence Ms. Chin has provided, I anticipate charges will be filed within 48 hours. Charges? Derek said. You're going to charge her? Corporate fraud, securities violations, identity theft, attempted bank fraud. Yes, charges are virtually certain, Director Roberts confirmed. The question is whether she cooperates, which would factor into sentencing recommendations. Victoria turned to me, her expression a mixture of betrayal and rage. You did this. You set me up. You ruined my life. No, I said calmly. I created an opportunity for you to commit fraud. You chose to take it. Those are very different things. I was trying to help you, Victoria hissed. You were trying to steal from me, I corrected. Again. The first time I let it go because you're my sister. This time I documented everything and waited for you to hang yourself with your own greed. Mom was crying now. Emily, how could you do this to your own sister? How could she try to steal from me? I countered. Twice. How could you all enable her by constantly telling me I was incompetent and needed Victoria's help? This didn't happen in a vacuum. You all participated in convincing me to hand over my business. We were trying to help, Dad said weakly. By assuming I was failing without ever asking to see actual financial records? By believing Victoria's assessment of my business without verification? By pressuring me to give up control based on nothing but her word. I shook my head. That's not help. That's bias. Agent Park had moved to Victoria's side. Miss Chin, we need to go. Now. Victoria grabbed her purse with trembling hands. This is wrong. I'm calling my lawyer. I'm fighting this. That's your right, Director Roberts said. But I should warn you. Ms. Chen's documentation is extensive. 3 years of recorded conversations, fabricated financial records you acknowledged reviewing, transfer documents you drafted showing clear intent to take ownership, and preliminary loan applications you filed using the false revenue figures. The case against you is quite strong. Loan applications? Mom whispered. Victoria, you already applied for loans? Victoria didn't answer. She was staring at me with an expression I'd never seen before, pure hatred mixed with disbelief. I trusted you, Victoria said. You're my sister. And you tried to steal from me, I replied. Twice. Trust works both ways. As the SEC agents escorted Victoria toward the door, the full reality of the situation seemed to finally hit my family. Derek sank into a chair, his face ashen. Dad stood motionless, staring at nothing. Mom continued crying quietly. Director Roberts paused at the door. Miss Chen, Emily Chen, we'll need you to come to the office tomorrow to provide formal testimony. 9am work for you. I'll be there, I said. Excellent work, by the way. This operation was textbook. We'll likely use it as a case study in fraud investigation training. She looked at my family. You should all be proud of her. She identified a pattern of criminal behavior and created an elegant trap to document it. Not many people have the patience and strategic thinking to pull off something like this. After they left with Victoria, the house fell silent except for Mom's quiet sobbing. Finally, Derek spoke. You planned this for 3 years. 3 years of pretending to have a failing business, letting Victoria undermine you, letting us all believe you were incompetent. All to trap her. Yes, I confirmed. That's sociopathic, Derek said. That's justice, I corrected. Victoria committed fraud 3 years ago and no one believed me. He got away with it. So I created a situation where she'd commit fraud again, but this time with documentation so thorough that denial would be impossible. But she's your sister, Mom said through her tears. And I'm her sister, I replied. That didn't stop her from trying to steal from me. Twice. Dad finally found his voice. The business. Your real business. What is it actually? Corporate fraud investigation consulting, I said. I work with companies to identify and document internal fraud. I'm very good at it. I've helped prosecute 17 cases in the past 3 years. This will be 18. You're a fraud investigator, Derek said slowly. And we all believed you were a failing consultant. You believed what Victoria told you, I corrected. She said I was failing and you accepted it without question. None of you ever asked to see my actual financials, meet my real clients, or visit my actual office. You just assumed Victoria was right. Because she has an MBA, Mom said weakly. She works in finance. We thought she knew what she was talking about. She does know finance, I agreed. She knew exactly what she was doing when she tried to steal my first client. And she knew exactly what she was doing when she took over my fake business. The MBA didn't make her honest. It just made her a more sophisticated criminal. Derek stood abruptly. I need to leave. I can't. I need to process this. Before you go, I said, you should know, you're all on the recordings too. Every time you pressured me to transfer the business, every time you told me I was incompetent, every time you validated Victoria's theft. The SEC has those recordings. They won't charge you because you didn't benefit financially, but your participation is documented. Derek's face flushed red. You recorded all of us? I recorded conversations I was part of, I said. Legal, as I mentioned, and necessary to prove the coercion element of Victoria's fraud. Coercion, Dad repeated. You're saying we helped her commit fraud? You created the environment that enabled it, I said. You spent months convincing me I was failing, that I needed Victoria's help, that transferring the business was the smart choice. That's exactly what Victoria needed. Family pressure to make the theft look consensual. Mom stood shakily. Get out. I looked at her. What? Get out of my house, Mom said, her voice stronger now. You did this. You trapped your own sister. You used your own family. You're not the daughter I raised. No, I agreed. I'm not. I'm the daughter who learned that family will believe your siblings' lies over your truth. I'm the daughter who learned that you have to document everything because no one will take your word. I'm the daughter who learned that sometimes, the only way to get justice is to create it yourself. That's not justice, Mom said. That's revenge. It's both, I said simply. Victoria committed a crime. I documented it. She'll face legal consequences. That's how justice works. You could have just cut her off, Dad said. Refused to work with her. Kept your distance. You didn't have to destroy her life. I tried that, I said. After the first theft attempt I pulled back. But Victoria didn't stop. She kept inserting herself into my professional life, kept undermining me, kept positioning herself to steal again. The only way to stop her was to let her steal something worthless and get caught doing it. Derek shook his head. You're sick. This whole thing is sick. What's sick is that not one of you believed me 3 years ago when I said Victoria tried to steal my client. I said, my voice rising for the first time. What's sick is that you all assumed I was incompetent without evidence. What's sick is that you enabled a criminal because she had the right credentials and I didn't. We were trying to help you, Mom insisted. By assuming I was failing? By pressuring me to give up my business? By never once asking if I actually needed help. I grabbed my bag. You're right, Mom. I should go. But before I do, you should all understand something. Victoria is going to face federal charges. There will be a trial. You'll all likely be called as witnesses to testify about the family pressure, the transfer documents, the conversations where Victoria claimed she was helping me. This isn't over. This is just beginning. I walked to the door, then turned back. For what it's worth, I loved Victoria. I loved all of you. But love doesn't trump honesty and it doesn't excuse crime. She tried to steal from me. I stopped her. That's not revenge, that's self-defense. I left before anyone could respond. Outside, I sat in my car for a long moment, letting the adrenaline drain away. My phone buzzed, a text from Director Roberts. Suspect in custody. Questioning beginning now. You did excellent work, Ms. Chen. This case is airtight. I replied, thank you. See you tomorrow at 9. Another text came through, this one from a number I didn't recognize. Ms. Chen, this is Victoria's lawyer, Martin Goldstein. I need to speak with you about dropping charges. My client made a mistake but meant no harm. Surely we can resolve this within the family. I stared at the message for a moment, then typed back. Your client committed federal crimes. This isn't a family matter. It's a criminal matter. The SEC has full documentation. There's nothing to resolve. His response came quickly. She's your sister. Do you really want to destroy her life over a business dispute? It's not a business dispute, I wrote back. It's fraud. And yes, I really do want criminals to face consequences, even when they're related to me. Especially when they're related to me. I blocked the number and drove to my real office. Not a home setup, but a professional suite in a downtown building where I ran my actual consulting firm. The firm that helped companies identify fraud. The firm that had 17 successful prosecutions under its belt and was about to add an 18th. My assistant Jennifer looked up as I entered. How did it go? Perfectly, I said. She signed everything, the SEC made the pickup and she's in custody now. Jennifer shook her head in amazement. 3 years. You played this out for 3 years. Had to be thorough, I said. Fraud cases require extensive documentation. Plus, I needed to be absolutely certain she'd try it again. 1 attempted theft could be a misunderstanding. 2 attempts with the second one fully documented? That's a pattern. Your family must be devastated. They're angry, I admitted. They think I trapped her, that I'm vengeful, that I should have handled it privately. Should you have? Jennifer asked. I considered the question. 3 years ago, Victoria tried to steal a $50,000 client from me. I confronted her privately. She denied it. My family didn't believe me. She got away with it completely. So no, handling it privately doesn't work when no one believes you and the criminal faces no consequences. Fair point, Jennifer conceded. Plus, I added, this case will actually help other victims. Director Roberts said they'll use it as a training example. Other fraud investigators will learn from what I did. Other victims might be inspired to document their cases properly. Victoria's crime becomes a lesson for others. My phone rang. Mom calling. I let it go to voicemail. A minute later, the voicemail notification appeared. I played it on speaker. Emily, it's Mom. Your father and I have been talking. We think you're right. About some things. We didn't believe you 3 years ago and we should have. We pushed you to transfer the business without checking facts. We enabled Victoria's behavior. That's on us. But this is too much. She's going to prison, Emily. Your sister is going to prison because you set her up. Please call me. We need to fix this. I deleted the voicemail. Jennifer watched me carefully. Are you okay? I'm fine, I said. And surprisingly I was. The guilt I'd expected to feel, the regret, the doubt, none of it materialized. Victoria had committed a crime. I documented it. Justice was being served. What happens now? Jennifer asked. Tomorrow I give formal testimony to the SEC. Then there'll be an arraignment probably next week. Victoria will plead not guilty obviously. Her lawyer will try to negotiate a deal. The SEC will likely offer something, reduced charges in exchange for cooperation and restitution. If she's smart she'll take it. And if she's not smart? Then it goes to trial. The documentation gets presented in open court. The recordings of her undermining me, pressuring me, drafting the transfer documents. The loan applications she filed using fraudulent revenue figures. The pattern of behavior. She'll be convicted and the sentence will be harsher than if she'd taken the deal. You've thought this through, Jennifer observed. I've had 3 years to think it through, I said. Every possible outcome, every potential complication, every legal angle. This isn't impulse, Jennifer. This is strategy. My phone rang again, Derek this time. I answered on speaker. What? I said. Emily, Mom's a mess. Dad's not much better. You need to come back and talk to us. About what? About fixing this. About making this right. Victoria made a mistake, but she doesn't deserve federal charges. She's family. Family who committed fraud, I said. Twice. The first time you have no proof. It's your word against hers. The first time, I have a written statement from the client describing Victoria's attempt to redirect payments. I didn't use it 3 years ago because I was trying to preserve family relationships. But I kept it. The SEC has it now. Derek was silent for a moment. You've been planning this since the beginning. I've been documenting crimes since the beginning, I corrected. Victoria chose to commit them. I just chose to record them. She's your sister, Derek said, his voice breaking. How can you do this to her? How could she do it to me? I countered. That's the question you should be asking. How could Victoria try to steal from her own sister? How could she spend 3 years undermining me, sabotaging me, positioning herself to commit fraud against me? Why am I the villain for stopping her? Because you trapped her, Derek said. You created a situation designed to make her commit a crime. I created a situation that revealed her willingness to commit a crime, I corrected. Victoria could have said no. She could have been honest. She could have actually helped me instead of trying to steal from me. She made her choices. I just documented them. We're your family, Derek said. That has to count for something. It did, I said quietly. That's why I gave her 3 years. 3 years to come clean about the first theft, to apologize, to change her behavior. He didn't. She got worse. So yes, Derek, family counted, but not enough to override justice. I ended the call and turned off my phone. Jennifer was quiet for a moment. Do you think they'll ever understand? Probably not, I admitted. They'll always see Victoria as the victim and me as the villain. That's fine. I'm not doing this for their understanding. I'm doing it because it's right. Is it? Jennifer asked. Right, I mean. I'm not judging, I genuinely want to know. Is setting up your own sister the right thing to do? I thought about it carefully. Victoria is a criminal. She committed fraud 3 years ago and got away with it. She was about to commit fraud again, and this time use those false financials to defraud a bank out of potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars. If I'd let her proceed, eventually she would have been caught, but not before causing real damage. Banks would lose money. Investigators would waste resources. Other people might be implicated. By stopping her now with clear documentation, I prevented all that downstream harm. So it's utilitarian, Jennifer said. Greater good. It's also personal, I admitted. I'm tired of being the victim. Tired of being doubted. Tired of criminals getting away with crimes because they're family or because no one documented properly. Victoria victimized me once and faced 0 consequences. I made sure she couldn't do it again. That's fair, Jennifer said. We worked until 7 that evening, preparing documentation for the next day's SEC meeting. By the time I left the office, I'd organized 3 years of recordings, financial records, correspondence, and witness statements into a comprehensive case file. Driving home, I thought about Victoria sitting in an SEC interrogation room, probably still insisting she'd done nothing wrong, that I'd trapped her, that this was all a misunderstanding. But the evidence didn't lie. The recordings didn't lie. The transfer documents she'd drafted didn't lie. The loan applications she'd filed didn't lie. She'd committed fraud. I'd stopped her. That was the reality regardless of how anyone spun it. At home, I poured a glass of wine and sat on my balcony looking out over the city lights. Somewhere out there, my family was probably gathered together discussing what a terrible person I was, how I'd betrayed Victoria, how I'd destroyed the family. Let them discuss. I'd stopped a criminal. I'd prevented bank fraud. I'd created a case study that would help train future investigators. And I'd proven that sometimes, the only way to get justice is to build it yourself, piece by documented piece with patience and precision. My phone, still off, sat on the table beside me. I knew when I turned it on there would be dozens of messages. Pleas from Mom. Anger from Derek. Maybe even a message from Victoria's lawyer, threatening legal action for entrapment that would never hold up in court. But that was tomorrow's problem. Tonight I was just a fraud investigator who'd successfully documented and stopped a criminal. The fact that the criminal was my sister was unfortunate but irrelevant. Justice didn't stop at family boundaries. And I wasn't going to pretend otherwise just to make everyone comfortable. Victoria would face trial. She'd probably accept a plea deal, 2 to 3 years in federal prison, restitution, probation. Her career in finance was over. Her reputation was destroyed. But she'd committed crimes. She tried to steal from her own sister. Twice. And now finally she'd face consequences. That wasn't revenge. That was accountability. And if my family couldn't understand the difference, that was their problem, not mine. I sipped my wine and watched the city lights, content in the knowledge that tomorrow, I'd testify against my sister. And I wouldn't feel guilty about it at all. Because some things matter more than family loyalty. Things like honesty, integrity, justice, and the simple principle that criminals should face consequences, regardless of their last name.